It was supposed to be a routine morning on The View, a show famous for its lively debates, celebrity interviews, and occasional fiery exchanges. But on that fateful day, the studio buzzed with attention that no one could ignore, not even the crew. Jennifer Lopez, the global superstar, had come on to promote her latest project and, as always, bring her charm, poise, and strong opinions. Little did anyone know, the interview would end in chaos, humiliation, and a shocking resignation that would make headlines worldwide. The morning started like any other. Joy Behar, the veteran co-host known for her sharp wit and unapologetic humor, sipped her coffee and prepared for the show. She had been on The View for decades, and she prided herself on handling difficult guests with a mix of humor, sarcasm, and experience. Jennifer Lopez, on the other hand, was a force of nature. She carried herself with confidence, intelligence, and a presence that commanded attention. The cameras rolled, the lights brightened, and the teleprompters scrolled. Jennifer began by talking about her new film, her philanthropic projects, and her latest album. Everything seemed cordial at first. Joy Behar smiled politely, nodded, and interjected occasionally with the kind of teasing comments she was famous for. But soon, the tension began to rise. Joy, as always, tried to provoke a reaction. "Jennifer," she began, "you've had such a fascinating career, but do you ever feel like people expect perfection from you all the time? Doesn't that get exhausting?" Jennifer, known for her composure, answered gracefully at first. "Of course, Joy. Expectations are part of being in the public eye, but I focus on what I can control: my work, my art, and my message." But Joy wasn't done. She leaned forward, a mischievous glint in her eye. "And what about your personal life? Everyone's always watching. Relationships, romances, it must be a lot to handle." At that moment, the tone shifted. Jennifer's smile stiffened slightly. "Joy, I respect you, but I'm here to talk about my work, not gossip." The studio fell silent. The other hosts exchanged uneasy glances. Joy, sensing the tension, chuckled nervously but pressed on. "Oh, come on, Jennifer. You know people are curious. We're just trying to understand the woman behind the fame." Jennifer's patience had limits. She took a deep breath, maintaining her professionalism, but her voice was firmer now. "I appreciate your curiosity, Joy, but there's a line between professional discussion and personal intrusion. I'm not comfortable crossing it." The viewers watching at home felt the shift immediately. The exchange was no longer playful banter, it was confrontation. And then, Joy Behar made the mistake that would change everything. She smirked, raised her eyebrows, and said, "Well, Jennifer, maybe if you were a little more honest about your life, people wouldn't have to guess." The words landed like a punch. Jennifer's jaw tightened. The other hosts tried to steer the conversation back on track, but it was too late. Jennifer, visibly frustrated, leaned forward and spoke with a level of intensity that stunned everyone. "Joy, I've answered your questions honestly. I've shared what I choose to share. Your insinuations are unnecessary and disrespectful." Joy's usual confidence faltered. She opened her mouth, probably to retort, but Jennifer interrupted, her voice rising slightly. "I came here to promote my work, not to be humiliated on national television." The studio audience gasped. The tension was palpable. Joy, realizing the gravity of the situation, tried to laugh it off, but her laughter was hollow. Jennifer's eyes locked on hers, unwavering. The cameras captured every second of the silence that followed, a silence that spoke volumes. Finally, Joy Behar's composure cracked. "Well, I suppose we can move on," she muttered, clearly embarrassed and flustered. But the damage was done. The segment that followed was awkward, stilted, and uncomfortable. The usual lively energy of The View was replaced by strained nods and forced smiles. By the commercial break, backstage whispers had turned into serious conversations. The producers huddled, and the tension between the two women was undeniable. But no one anticipated what would happen next. When the show returned, Joy Behar appeared pale. Her usual witty remarks were gone, replaced by clipped, cautious comments. Jennifer Lopez, maintaining her dignity, continued the interview professionally, but the earlier spark of confrontation lingered in the air. Then, moments later, it happened. Joy Behar, speaking directly into the camera, shocked everyone. "I've decided that today is my last day on The View," she said, her voice trembling slightly but determined. I cannot continue on a show where disrespect is tolerated, and I feel humiliated beyond repair. This is my resignation." The studio erupted in chaos. Producers scrambled, co-hosts were stunned, and the audience sat in stunned silence. Jennifer Lopez, caught between shock and compassion, remained silent, letting the weight of Joy's announcement sink in. The segment ended abruptly. Viewers across the country, glued to their screens, couldn't believe what had just happened. Social media exploded within seconds. Clips of the confrontation went viral, with hashtags trending worldwide. People debated who was right, who was wrong, and whether Joy Behar's resignation was justified or impulsive. Backstage, Joy packed her things. She walked past the crew, avoiding eye contact, while Jennifer lingered, offering a quiet word of respect. "I know it wasn't easy," Jennifer said softly. "You did what you felt you had to do." Joy nodded, a mixture of relief and humiliation on her face. She walked out of the studio for the last time, leaving behind decades of history, laughter, arguments, and unforgettable television moments. In the days that followed, the media dissected every moment of the incident. News outlets speculated about what led to the confrontation, whether Joy would return in the future, and how Jennifer Lopez handled the situation with poise and professionalism. Interviews with other co-hosts revealed a mix of support and concern, with many praising Jennifer for her composure and professionalism. Fans were divided. Some defended Joy, arguing that her resignation was a stand against disrespect. Others sided with Jennifer, celebrating her ability to confront criticism without losing her dignity. And in the midst of it all, one fact remained undeniable: the morning of that live interview changed The View forever. For Joy Behar, it was the end of an era, a shocking, humiliating, and unforgettable exit from the show she had helped shape for decades. For Jennifer Lopez, it was a reminder of the strength it takes to maintain grace under fire, and the power of standing firm in the face of public scrutiny. And for the millions watching at home, it was a television moment that would be replayed, analyzed, and remembered for years to come. The cameras might have stopped rolling, but the story was far from over. Headlines screamed, social media exploded, and everyone wanted to know what would happen next in the aftermath of the most humiliating argument in daytime television history. The morning after the explosive live broadcast, the world woke up to headlines that could not be ignored. News outlets ran with, "Joy Behar quits The View live after on-air clash with Jennifer Lopez," "Jennifer Lopez confronts Behar in unforgettable TV moment," and "The day daytime TV shook the nation." Social media had already exploded overnight. Clips of the argument were shared millions of times, with every viewer seemingly becoming a critic, judge, or commentator. Backstage at The View, the atmosphere was tense, almost post-apocalyptic. Producers scrambled to issue statements, apologize to the public, and reassure advertisers that the show could recover from this PR nightmare. Co-hosts, some sympathetic, others visibly shocked, walked around in hushed tones, avoiding cameras but quietly speculating about what would happen next. Meanwhile, Joy Behar sat in her car outside the studio, staring at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Her trademark humor was nowhere to be found. Instead, she confronted a mix of embarrassment, regret, and anger. She replayed the confrontation in her mind, wondering if her words had crossed a line, but also feeling a sense of vindication. She had drawn boundaries, and that, she reminded herself, was worth standing by. Jennifer Lopez, on the other hand, had faced a storm of public reaction but handled it with grace. Interviews flooded her schedule. In each one, she maintained her poise, emphasizing professionalism, personal boundaries, and respect. One particularly striking interview on Good Morning America highlighted her composure. "I think everyone deserves to be respected," she said. "It's not about humiliating anyone. It's about having open, honest conversations, but there's a line between curiosity and intrusion." Her words were widely praised, with millions applauding her for standing up calmly under enormous pressure. Meanwhile, tabloids painted a picture of drama and betrayal behind the scenes. Some claimed there had been tension between Behar and Lopez even before the interview. Others suggested that the producers had encouraged Joy to push for sensational content to boost ratings, but that this time, the plan had backfired spectacularly. Analysts debated whether Behar's resignation was impulsive or the inevitable consequence of years of simmering frustration. Public opinion was split. Fans of Joy Behar applauded her courage to quit, framing it as a statement against disrespect. Others criticized her, claiming that a seasoned host should have maintained her professionalism on live television. Memes flooded social media, some mocking the situation humorously, others expressing disbelief. One viral clip showed Joy raising her eyebrow during the interview with the caption, "When you realize you've met your match." As the days went by, the fallout reached the corporate level. Executives at the network held emergency meetings. Ratings had spiked dramatically during the confrontation, but advertisers were nervous about the unpredictable environment. Some saw it as a marketing goldmine, others feared long-term reputational damage. Every decision from that point forward was carefully scrutinized. Joy Behar, meanwhile, faced a personal reckoning. She received hundreds of messages, some supportive, some condemning. Friends and family offered comfort, reminding her that her career was larger than a single moment. But the sting of public humiliation lingered. She realized she had become part of a global conversation she hadn't intended to start, and that it would take time to navigate the aftermath. Then came the unexpected twist. Jennifer Lopez, despite the tension, reached out privately. Sources confirmed that she sent a message expressing her hope that Joy was okay and that their disagreement did not define either of them. Many fans saw this as a masterstroke of diplomacy, a celebrity handling conflict with empathy and class while maintaining her public image. It was a subtle but powerful message: strength doesn't require humiliation. The media seized on this private gesture, framing it as a story of grace. Overcoming chaos. Headlines now read: Jennifer Lopez reaches out to Joy Behar after TV confrontation, and respect in the face of humiliation, how J.Lo turned drama into dignity. Analysts debated the long-term implications for both women. Would Joy return to television? Could the show survive without one of its most recognizable personalities? And, perhaps most importantly, how would the public remember this historic clash? Meanwhile, The View faced a crossroads. Ratings had spiked due to the controversy, but producers knew that relying on public humiliation as entertainment was not sustainable. Plans were quickly drafted to restructure the show, focus on meaningful conversations, and bring in new voices, while being mindful of the fine line between debate and disrespect. For Joy Behar, the future was uncertain. She had left the show with her reputation intact in terms of principles but shaken in terms of public perception. Offers for interviews, guest appearances, and book deals poured in. She had become a symbol, an emblem of standing up for personal boundaries in a world that often rewards overexposure and intrusion. Jennifer Lopez, meanwhile, continued to dominate headlines, but for reasons entirely her own. Her professionalism, grace, and poise during the confrontation became part of her public narrative. She demonstrated that it's possible to assert boundaries firmly without resorting to humiliation, a lesson that resonated far beyond the world of daytime television. In the end, that morning on The View became more than just a heated argument. It became a case study in human dynamics, media scrutiny, and the consequences of public confrontation. Joy Behar's dramatic exit and Jennifer Lopez's dignified response became legendary in television history, a cautionary tale, an inspiration, and a story that would be recounted for years to come. For the millions watching, it wasn't just television anymore. It was a real-life drama, unfolding live, with stakes, emotions, and consequences that no script could replicate. And in that drama, two women, each powerful, each human, showed the world what it means to fight, stand firm, and, ultimately, move forward. As the weeks turned into months, The View continued without Joy Behar, but the memory of that explosive morning lingered in the collective consciousness of television audiences. Social media debates continued, documentaries were pitched, and fans speculated endlessly. And for Jennifer Lopez, it was yet another reminder that fame, respect, and dignity are a delicate balance, one that she had navigated with elegance, strength, and an unwavering commitment to professionalism. Joy Behar quit. Jennifer Lopez stayed strong. And the world watched, riveted, forever changed by a confrontation that had started as a simple celebrity interview and ended as a television legend.